The Invitation to Darkness. My first night in the Conjuring House. Before we begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more spine-chilling true horror stories. And don't forget to comment below what you do if you ever stepped inside the Conjuring House. Now, let me take you to my first night there, one that changed my life forever. I've always been drawn to haunted places. Call it curiosity, or maybe a reckless fascination with the unknown. So, when I got the opportunity to spend a night inside the Perron family's farmhouse, the real Conjuring House, I didn't hesitate. Everyone warned me. My friends said, "Don't mess with that place, it's not just a story, it's cursed." But I laughed it off. I thought ghosts were just echoes of the past, nothing more. When I arrived, the air itself felt heavy. The house stood on a quiet patch of Rhode Island land, its faded wooden frame creaking as though it were breathing. The owners gave me a short tour, then handed me the keys. "Don't go near the cellar after midnight," one of them said, half joking, but her eyes told another story. The sun dipped below the trees, and soon the house was swallowed in shadows. I set up my camera and flashlight in the living room. At first, everything seemed calm, just the soft rustling of the wind and the occasional groan of old wood. But around 10 p.m., things started to feel different. It began with faint tapping sounds coming from upstairs. I assumed it was the pipes. Then came the footsteps, slow, deliberate, pacing just above where I sat. My flashlight flickered and a chill crawled down my spine. I called out, "Hello? Anyone there?" Silence. Then a low whisper right behind me, so close I felt the air move against my neck. When I turned around, no one was there, but something was. The scent of rotten flowers filled the air, thick and suffocating. My body froze. I lifted the flashlight toward the corner of the room and saw it. A shadow, darker than the night itself, stretched across the wall. It wasn't human. It moved, even though I wasn't moving. I grabbed my camera, hands shaking, and whispered, "If there's someone here, show yourself." The temperature dropped instantly. I could see my breath cloud in front of me. Then came a sound I'll never forget, like a woman's laughter, distorted and echoing through the walls. The lights went out. The entire house fell into complete darkness. I could only hear my heartbeat and the faint sound of something dragging across the floor. I stumbled toward the door, but it wouldn't open. No matter how hard I pulled, it was as if someone was holding it shut from the other side. And then I heard it, a whisper right next to my ear. "Welcome home." That was my first night in the Conjuring House, and it was only the beginning. The whispering shadows, when the walls began to breathe. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying real-life horror stories. Turn on the notification bell, because what I'm about to tell you will keep you awake tonight. After that first night, I should have left. Any sane person would have. But something about that house pulled me back, like an invisible thread wrapping tighter around my soul. I told myself I needed proof, real evidence of the haunting. So I returned the next evening, armed with cameras, EVP recorders, and holy water. When I entered, the air inside felt different. The walls almost seemed to pulse, like the house was alive. The faint smell of sulfur clung to the air, and as I stepped inside, I noticed that every clock in the house had stopped, each one frozen at 3:07 a.m. I set up my recording devices again, but this time the atmosphere was heavier, thicker, as if the house was aware that I had come back. The floorboards groaned beneath my feet, and the shadows seemed to slither across the walls, following my every move. Around midnight, I sat in the living room and asked out loud, "Who are you? Why are you here?" My recorder captured only static at first. Then a faint voice came through. It whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." My hands trembled. I replayed it twice. The voice was female, but deep, rough, and distant. I glanced toward the staircase, and for the first time, I noticed something strange. The reflection in the old mirror near the hallway didn't match the room behind me. In the reflection, I saw movement, a figure standing just at the top of the stairs. I turned instantly, but no one was there. When I looked back at the mirror, the figure was closer, halfway down the stairs. My chest tightened. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Then, all at once, the sound of footsteps thundered down the staircase, fast and furious, but nothing visible was coming. The sound stopped inches away from me. That's when the whispering began. Not one voice this time. Many. Whispering from the walls, from under the floor, from behind the doors. My flashlight began to flicker again, casting long, writhing shadows across the ceiling. And I swear to you, for a split second, those shadows formed faces. Eyes wide, mouths open in silent screams. I tried to command the presence to leave, shouting prayers I could barely remember. But suddenly, something struck me from behind. A freezing, invisible force that sent me sprawling to the ground. My camera rolled across the floor, and when I looked up, the words, "She is here," were scratched into the wall, right above where I had been sitting. I stumbled outside, gasping for air, and when I looked back through the window, I saw her. A woman in a tattered dress, head tilted unnaturally, watching me from the shadows inside. That night, I finally understood what the Perron family had endured. The demon wasn't just haunting the house, it was protecting it, and it had just chosen me as its next guest. The possession. Face to face with Bathsheba's curse. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more horrifying true stories. And let me warn you, what you're about to hear is not just another ghost story. This is where the haunting turned into something much darker, something that tried to claim me. After seeing that woman in the window, I swore I'd never go back. But for days, I couldn't sleep. Every night I'd wake up at exactly 3:07 a.m., drenched in sweat, hearing that same whisper in my ear. Welcome home. It didn't matter where I was, the demon had followed me. I called a paranormal investigator friend named Daniel, who'd studied the case of Bathsheba Sherman, the witch rumored to haunt the Conjuring House. He said, "If she's attached herself to you, you're in danger. You need to confront her where it started, inside that house." So, against every warning, I returned. This time, Daniel came with me. We arrived just before midnight carrying crosses, sage, and recorders. The house was colder than before. Our breaths came out like mist, even though it was summer. As soon as we stepped inside, the front door slammed shut behind us. Every light died at once. Only our flashlight beams cut through the thick darkness. The air vibrated, low, humming, like the growl of something unseen. Daniel began reading from a prayer, his voice steady, but I could see his hands trembling. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw her again. A tall, twisted figure standing by the staircase. Her head was tilted sideways, her eyes nothing but hollow black sockets. She whispered my name. "Leave him alone," Daniel shouted. The air exploded with a thunderous crack and he was thrown across the room like a rag doll. His recorder shattered. I ran to him, but before I could reach, an invisible force gripped me. My whole body froze. My vision blurred. And then, I felt her, inside my mind. Her voice echoed in my head. "You wanted to see me. Now, I'll never leave you." The walls began to shake violently. Furniture toppled. My flashlight flew out of my hand. In the chaos, I saw flashes, visions, like memories that weren't mine. A woman hanging from a tree, a baby's cry, fire, and the same phrase over and over, a sacrifice for love. I screamed, begging her to stop. My chest burned as if something was clawing from the inside. I could hear Daniel praying, his voice weak but determined. Suddenly, a searing pain shot through my neck and I fell to the floor. Everything went black. When I woke up, it was dawn. Daniel was sitting beside me, pale and shaken. "You stopped breathing for almost a minute," he said quietly. On my neck were deep red marks. like the imprint of hands. I didn't need proof anymore. Bathsheba wasn't just a legend. She was real, and she had touched me. But what terrified me most was Daniel's last words before we left that cursed place. He said, "She's not done with you yet." The cleansing, escaping the demon's grip. Before dawn, before we begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want more terrifying real-life horror stories. And turn on the notification bell, because this is the final part of my encounter with the demon that haunted the Conjuring House. What happened that night still keeps me awake to this day. After the possession, I thought it was over. I left the house, burned the clothes I'd worn, and stayed miles away. But Bathsheba didn't need the house anymore. She had me. For weeks, I felt her presence everywhere. Lights flickering when I entered rooms, objects moving slightly when I looked away, whispers calling my name in the dead of night. I'd wake up with bruises, the shape of fingers around my arms and throat. Daniel stayed in touch, worried. One night, he called and said, "We can end this, but it has to be done before sunrise, or she'll be bound to you forever." Desperate, I agreed. We met back at the farmhouse, just hours before dawn. The house seemed to recognize me. The front door swung open by itself as we approached. Inside, it was freezing. The air carried that same stench of rot and burnt wood. Daniel began setting up candles and salt around the main room while I stood trembling in the dark. He began the ritual, chanting prayers in Latin, sprinkling holy water in every corner. The air grew heavier with every word. My body started shaking uncontrollably, my breath shortening. And then, she came. The candles flickered violently as Bathsheba's figure materialized in the center of the room, twisted, burned, her eyes glowing like dying embers. Her voice boomed through the walls. "He is mine!" Every window shattered at once. The house roared like a living beast. Daniel shouted louder, his voice barely audible over the chaos. The ground beneath us trembled, and I felt an invisible force lift me off the floor. My body arched painfully as her voice echoed inside my head. "Stay with me." Daniel hurled holy water at me, shouting, "In the name of the Lord, release him." I screamed as a blinding light burst across the room. For a moment, I felt fire crawling under my skin, then, suddenly, it was gone. I fell hard onto the floor, gasping, shaking, but free. When I opened my eyes, the room was silent. The shadow that had filled the walls was gone. Bathsheba's form had vanished, leaving only the faint smell of smoke. The candles flickered weakly, and the air felt lighter, almost peaceful. Daniel knelt beside me, his eyes wet with relief. "It's over," he whispered. But as we turned to leave, I saw something that froze my blood. On the wall near the door, words were burned into the wood. "You'll come back." We left before the sun rose, and I swore never to return. But sometimes when I wake up at 3:07 a.m., I still feel that same chill, the same whisper in my ear. Welcome home.